Hi there, this is Leona Graham and we are at the Women in Moto exhibition today, and I'm joined by Ruby Rides and Kendria. Hi.
Hello. Hi, nice to see you again, nice to meet you.
Yes, so we're going to talk about a few things today, but obviously first of all I want to know about your biking life. We'll start with you, Ruby. You're an experienced rider. Can you sort of summarise it for us?
So I started riding 9 years ago on a CBR 125. And I slowly built my confidence to ride the bikes that I ride now. I have a Kawasaki H2 supercharged, and I have an S1000RR HP4 and an RSV4 1100. But yeah, I have enjoyed every minute of riding, really. It's the best thing that a woman can get into. And actually, my first 5 bikes were Hondas, CBRs.
Brilliant. So what made you start in the first place?
I've always been a petrol head, and I wanted something that is a bit more challenging and a little bit more, exciting. So I googled how to get a motorbike license, and then I did my CBT, and slowly, had a 125 for a bit, and got my full license. So.
And then you've gone on to become an influencer with over 130,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
How did you go from being a biker to an influencer?
To be honest, it never started off as, I never had the intention to make it what it is now. And I think back in the day when I started, it wasn't, the whole bike influencer thing wasn't really a thing,
Well,
and
I don't even think there was Instagram, was there?
There was actually. It just launched, I think, a year or so ago, before I passed. But I remember as soon as I passed my CBT, I rode every single day in any weather because I just wanted to get that experience, and I had no experience at all. I didn't know any bikers. Just wanted to get the time on the bike because I knew that was the way to make it second nature and to feel comfortable and confident. But I used to share my pictures of my bike 125, and slowly it got traction. There wasn't many girls showing their bikes on social media, and I think gradually it just it got traction, and people were more drawn to the fact that there's a lady that is riding a bike, and slowly brands were more interested to work with me, and now it's become my full-time job, and I love it, really.
That's incredible, isn't it? What a story. And Kendria, you're quite the contrast. You're a new biker.
Absolutely, yes.
So tell us about your biking journey.
Yes, I decided, my son had left school, started college, and I was looking for a hobby that wasn't pink fizz and brunch, really. I wanted something different. I've always been a mum. They've always come first. Now that he needed me less, I wanted something exciting, something for me. He had a 50cc motorbike. He was only 16, passed his CBT. And one day I said, William, I could ride this on my grandfather rights, on my licence, because I'd passed so long ago. Yeah. To which he replied, this is a motorbike, Mum. You could never do it. Aww. And right then and there, I decided, you little sod, I can and I will. And from then, it's just happened.
So when was this?
This was, yes, he did his, I think it was around about March of last year. So just after the lockdown. And then I did my CBT. Obviously, we had another lockdown. So I did my CBT in March this year, picked up my new bike in April. And yes, I'm only 373 miles in, but they're all my miles. And I'm really proud of myself. I've really done amazing.
That's incredible.
So, yes.
I mean, what a start to your biking journey. That's another great story. I'm slightly different. I did mine for commuting reasons. I work and live in London. And I'm a bit of a petrol head as well, but I just wanted to overtake the traffic. But what's the quickest way to do this? It's on a motorbike. So that's why my motivation was. And I currently ride an NC750X DCT. Nice. Which is a Honda. So your current bikes, you've told us all your current bikes, have you?
I have a little, I've called him Hawk. He's a CBF 125. Nice. He's perfect for me because he's not lowered or anything, but he's just the right size for me. At first I was quite worried I wouldn't be able to touch the floor, and I can't obviously do flat foot, but now after the 373 miles I can bob from each side. It's perfect. It's a perfect bike for me.
I'm glad you mentioned height, because it's one of the things that we often get asked when we say we're bikers. I don't know if this is your experience, but how can women be bikers? We're not tall enough often. So what's your answer to that? I'll start with you, Ruby.
Personally, I have never encouraged women to lower their bikes. especially sports bikes, I feel nakeds and sports bikes, they are designed to corner and handle with the height that they come with a stock.
Yes.
Right? When you're first starting up, I feel like it may be important to feel more confident by having your feet down, and you're not going to be racing when you're first starting up. But if you are looking to upgrade to a more, more performance and more power, leave it as it is. You'll be surprised how quickly you get used to it.
Yes.
And you don't see slightly shorter men worried too much. You never see men complain, that might be too tall for me. But us girls, I've come across girls 5'6", 5'7", they're like, might be too short for me. It might be too tall for me because I'm too short.
Right.
I'm 5'4" with inside leg 28 inch. I'm petite, right? And I've never lowered my bikes. And the RSV4, one is tiptoeing, the other is a foot off the ground like that. And honestly, you get used to it. And I don't encourage it. I know some people say that if you want to feel more confident, then do it. I feel like it changes the handling. And I think it's exaggerated in our heads, really, because people make such a big deal about it. But you see racers like Pedrosa, he's 5'0", and he's on really tall race bikes. So
that's really encouraging to hear, isn't it? For us, I mean, I'm newish, not as new as you, but I was 2018 when I started. So it's encouraging to hear that actually we don't need to be worried about that kind of thing. What do you think about that, Kendria?
I just thought, again, I had no experience with the bike, and I thought I had to have my feet down flat for almost stability or to make myself feel better. And I think back to when I first started driving, I'm only size 3 in shoes, and I can put the clutch in, obviously, in a car, and my foot doesn't rest on the car. I'm always in the air. So what was the difference? I've learned it this way, and even if they say now I could lower the bike, I could have that lowered. No, I've managed to do it despite this, and it's made me. I'm so good at slow riding in first because I don't always put my foot down, the camber of the road. So no, it wasn't. At first I thought it would really stop me, but absolutely not.
But having this knowledge that you've just explained to us as well, Ruby, is not necessarily out there, because the biking community, here's a statistic for you. In the Honda world, 91% of bikers are men. So we don't have those role models as much. I mean, we have you on Instagram, but it's not out there in the mainstream to encourage people and to give us that information and that confidence. Do you think it's a confidence thing?
I think it's like you mentioned, you thought it would be a hurdle, right? But it really isn't. And I think because maybe there's lack of role models, maybe it's something that we're just assume that it's not going to work for us if the bike is too tall. Of course, I've come across girls that are 4'10", and it really is impossible for them to put either of their feet down. So it's fine.
So how do they manage?
Well, I actually know a girl who was adamant not to lower her bike, and she didn't, and she's absolutely fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other issue, as well as height, one that I've heard a lot is, that's too heavy for you. How do you respond to that?
Again, Danny Pedrosa and Marc Marquez weigh like 50 kgs, right? And I weigh more than that, so do you know what I mean?
Yes,
what does that mean? What has weight got anything to do with it? Because the bike is always going to be heavier than us. It's not, you don't have to be a big bloke to handle a big bike.
On one of my first commutes, in fact my first commute to my radio show one morning, and I was already running late, couldn't find anywhere to park. I went in a multi-storey car park, and in my panic I dropped the bike. And I didn't know what to do about it. Now, there are techniques, which I think you've shown us on your Instagram page, of how to pick it up. And it's not about strength, is it? It's technique.
Exactly. Interestingly as well, I know for a fact that Honda do seat height options for the adventure bikes, for the Africa Twin. I think that's a nice option as well, because it doesn't change any of the anything mechanical or any of the ergonomics of the bikes. Because they have carved seats.
Yeah.
So you're not actually lowering it from the
Okay, so you're literally just lowering the seat.
Yes.
Oh, that's perfect, isn't it? What a great solution.
I think the MT maybe has that as well.
Yeah, sure. My bike, I think, is also the latest model is slightly lower, and I've noticed that, and I quite like it.
Yeah. It's nice to have that option, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And what do you both like about biking, if you could summarise it? I'll start with you, Kendria.
I like the fact that I can do it. Despite people saying, you're learning to ride. Yes, I am, and I can. And each time, I may not go far. I might only do 10 miles or 20 miles. And I'm so proud of myself.
And you enjoy it when you're out there?
I enjoy it. I've never whooped so much. I don't whoop in the car. And I'm riding along and, I'm doing 60 miles an hour and I'm whooping.
That's fantastic to hear.
Yes.
And I should mention as well, you've got your Instagram page, which you started, called Honda and Her.
Honda and Her. That's
great.
right, yes.
That's great.
Yes.
And Ruby, what do you like about biking? How can you summarise it?
Pretty much what she said. The feeling, whooping. The feeling that it gives you, but not only that, and you mentioned this as well, it breaks stereotypes. You broke stereotypes to your son.
Yes.
Because he said you can't do it.
Yeah.
You're a woman.
You're a
What?
woman.
You're my mum.
Yes.
You can't ride a ped. But you break stereotypes. It's actually quite educational to people to see women of all ages and all builds. If you're petite, if you're tall, doesn't matter. It's a sport that doesn't. When you see bike racing, you don't see them separating gender. Right?
Yeah,
it's not football or rugby where they separate gender, which tells you it's not much to do with your physical appearance and strength. Do you know what I mean? It's a sport that doesn't rely on that so much. Of course, you have to be fit to race, but gender has nothing to do with your ability to
Good
ride
point.
a bike well.
Yes.
I promise you that. Like, any girl who's out there that's doubting that, it's got nothing to do with your physical strength or height or gender.
That's great to hear, and really interesting for you to point that out. You and I did something for Honda last year with the rugby,
that was
and
fun.
we both rode in on motorbikes, bringing in the England rugby team, which is normally quite a masculine thing to do. We were the first women to do this.
Wow.
Yeah, it was good.
I just want to bring up one thing. When we got off our bikes,
Yes,
we parked
I
up.
know
A
what you're
guy
gonna say.
came over to you, didn't he?
Yeah.
What did he say?
He said, I thought you were going to drop it then. But the way I parked it up just like a normal person would park it up. Got off the bike, neutral, just normal.
Yeah.
And I said to him, what'd you say? And he was like, well, it's just a joke. He repeated it a couple of times. I literally turned away and walked off because I was I was not happy. Would he have said that to us if we were blokes?
Well, that's the point that I wanted to
Dead.
raise about that. I don't think that would have come
Never.
up.
No.
So there is an element of sometimes we feel a bit patronised. Would you agree? Somebody might make a comment like that.
Would you agree?
I haven't found it at all. I mean, I am so new in this. Everybody that I've told I'm learning to ride, they all say, I wish my wife would. If they're bikers especially, I wish my wife would do this. I wish my daughter would. I've had a few messages from people who've said, my daughter's turning 17, she wants to do her CBT. You've given her the confidence now. If you can do it at 44, then she can do it at 17. And,
Love that.
That's
So
really
so it's
positive,
really
and maybe it is
positive.
turning a corner. I mean, we have events like this today, Women in Moto. You've been to one of these before, haven't you, Ruby?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, can you sort of summarise what this event's all about?
Well, Women in Motor is organised by women for women, and they, as you can see, there's so many different stands and brands that cater for all bikers, including women. I mean, some of the stands are like for women only, like Motor Girl, and Engine Hook, who have a range of ladies' jackets. But it's nice to see events like this because it's a great place for women to meet each other and to see what is on offer for them. We've got Bike Safe, which is, I highly recommend people to do a Bike Safe course, and they have ladies' days only. I've done that, which is really, really good course. But yeah, I think events like this encourages women to come together, and it encourages breaking stereotypes for women, and sexism being one of the issues, I think, for many women, many biker women that I've met have said that they've encountered sexism at some point in their journey.
When I've asked this question to my listeners, which I did on Twitter recently, about why they wouldn't start, or people that have just started, they encountered that at the very first level, the training stage, and were made to feel awkward or embarrassed at the training day for the CBT. Has anybody experienced that?
I know girls that have been sent away because they're either too short for the bike, for a 125, and it's like, well, it's your job to cater for the customer. You don't say you do this for my bike or do that for CBT, right? So it's not hard to drop a 125. But personally, when I did my CBT, they wanted to put me on a ped, and I was adamant. I wanted to, automatically, because I'm a woman, I think they were encouraging me to learn on a ped. They said that's the safest way to start, and I thought, well, I don't want to be safe. I just want to know how to ride a bike properly. But personally, at every stage in my journey, I've encountered sexism. And for some girls, most girls would agree with this in their own journey, but some, a few girls that have said, well, we didn't encounter anything, and that's great. And I hope one day that we can have, more than 50% of women that will say, we never encountered anything. Everyone's really supportive.
Yeah,
it's not been the case for me personally. But yeah, everyone's different, I guess.
Yeah, and it's good to touch on those subjects just to acknowledge them.
Yeah.
And we're just, as you say, hoping that it gets less and less and less. And events like this will really help with that.
Yeah.
It's also a place for people, for women to approach, and say, I want to start and I don't know what to do. And perhaps you could give me some advice. And Honda as well have been doing, trying to approach this subject more and more to make women feel more confident about coming forward, saying, I'd like to be a biker. How do you think we can encourage women into biking? It's a tricky one, isn't it? What do you suggest, Candria?
I think being out there, join all the meets, join the social medias, put yourself out there, I think. And don't be afraid to, to join up and just to turn up on your own and say, hi, here I am.
Yeah.
I've got every right to be there as much as anybody,
Exactly. I like that,
Yes.
Finding people that are like-minded, maybe at events like this or online.
Yes, I notice when I ride sometimes that I do feel a little bit bullied by people because I feel tiny, I feel very small. So I just make sure that I'm as big and as proud as I am riding along rather.
Yeah.
I've done this CBT, I've got this new bike, I'm gaining the skills, I've got every right to be here, and if I hold you up for a second, so be it.
Yeah, good for you.
Mentality.
Yes.
It's a really good mentality.
And what do you think, Ruby? How can we encourage more women into biking?
Providing more accessible information. So when I first started, I had no idea what was what. When you get your car license, it's so easy to know what to do next. You apply for a provisional. With bikes, I remember just not knowing what was what, and not many. Every website explained it in a different way, and restricted license 8. I was like, what? Am I restricted? Am I not restricted? So having more accessible information, having events like this that even non-biker girls or guys can come to and find information for themselves, mingle with bikers and manufacturers and brands to find information, the correct information on what to do. And I think businesses and companies, brands and manufacturers should be considerate to being more approachable. Dealerships should be more approachable, more respectful to women, not patronising any customer regardless of their gender. Not assuming that when a woman walks in she's after a 125, right? Yeah. I was saying to another lady earlier on that one of my bikes, I'm not going to say which one, when I went in to buy it, I knew I wanted to buy it. I wasn't going to test ride it or anything. I was adamant that I was going to ride it. And he was like, so what are we looking for? ER650, which is fine. It's a great bike, but I knew I wanted the other litre bike.
Yeah.
I said, no, actually, I'm getting that bike. It was like, we're not allowing demo rides. I said to him, I don't want to ride it, I want to buy it. So, I think having a friendly approach to anyone that walks in and not judging anyone by their gender, by their size.
So maybe the bigger companies reaching out to the actual sales floor and giving them some training and saying, your approach needs to be more like this.
Yes, 100% Leona. Spot on.
My local dealership, they have ladies. The two people there are ladies. Another one is, I think, 4 or 5 different ladies. So that's nice. And lots of them don't ride. And one of them did say to me recently, after seeing you on your first day, and I was thinking, I can't do this. And obviously I'd bought the bike, I was ready. And she said she's always wanted to do it. And when I went back in to book the first service, she said, I'm doing it. After seeing how far, they've followed my page and things, and they've said, it's not been easy for you, but you've carried on, and I'm doing it.
So role models are important, communication and education, I think, are really important factors.
100%. Educating brands and educating people, bikers, on being more friendly and more approachable and more inclusive.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It sounds like you've had a really positive experience in your journey, which is good news. So it can happen.
It can.
And, me and you've had mixed experiences. So I think we've sort of covered all the areas of different experiences, and hopefully we can move forward in a positive way.
Yes.
Especially with events like this. So, thank you for joining us here at the Honda Women in Moto.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you
so
much.
Thank you. Thanks.
That is it from the podcast. I'm now off to enjoy the rest of the show, and we hope to see you here next year.
I'm Sophie. I'm a DAS instructor as my day job, and I'm working for TME, the motorcycle experience with Honda, taking people out on test rides. To encourage women to get into biking, I just encourage them to take their time a bit more. I do think as women we have natural instincts to be a bit more protective and a bit more nervous, so we've just got to take our time and breathe and relax and reset before we set off and do things.
I have an NC750X called Dolly, and she's just fantastic. We have at home, my husband has an Africa Twin and he has a VFR.
Brilliant. And I hear Dolly's been on a trip lately, is that right?
Yes, we went to 14 ladies. We went to ride the Wild Atlantic Way in Ireland and had the most fantastic time ever. And I can't emphasise enough how fantastic my bike handled the roads, the hills and the bends. She is an absolute perfect woman's bike.
So you condone an NC750 for all the lady bikers out there as a really good bike to get started, because you've not started long yourself, no?
No, I passed my test last year, July last year, and I'm 60. And for me, she's the perfect first bike.
And obviously this is a very unique event, being a ladies motorcycle event. If you could sum up this event in one statement, what would that statement be?
Inspirational. To see so many women actually going out and passing their Mod 1s and Mod 2s and actually going out and doing it for the women, it is fantastic to see so many ladies in one place that are so enthusiastic about riding.
So Emma, we've just been out on demo ride. What did you ride and what did you think of it?
So I rode the CB500 and I absolutely loved it. It was really nimble, it was really light, it was so easy, it was really nice. And it had enough get up to be fun as well.
And what do you currently ride at the moment?
So at the moment I have a Honda as well. It's an NC750, the S version, the street. As comfortable as my ride is, it isn't as nimble as the CB.
So you're looking for something a bit more nimble through the town maybe?
Possibly, I am thinking about. I've had her for just over a year now. So I am thinking about, now that I know what I like and what I don't like, it's kind of, I think, time to change maybe.
Fantastic. And with the show here, it's been ever so successful. If you could sum it up in one statement, how would you sum up the show?
It would sum up the show as a really fun day with like-minded people, definitely. So it's really great to see all the motorbike women and all the businesses that are involved as well that are taking motorbike women seriously. That's really nice.
And will we see you here next year?
Oh yes, I will be here next year for sure.
Well, we're here with Lindsay, the show organiser. So Lindsay, this year is the second year of the show, is that right?
That's correct, yeah. The second year, we've grown this year as well, and also with the weather being a bit nicer, we've had people stay and really enjoy the day.
So a few people have camped over last night and also camping over this evening. What's the plan for this evening's activities?
We've got a great lineup today. We've got a father and son band playing party hits, and then we've got a lovely lady who's on the X Factor who's coming to sing some party tunes, followed by a DJ. So I'm hoping everyone will stay and have some drinks and dance.
So to get more women into the motorcycling industry, how could we do that?
So to get more women into the motorcycling industry, there's lots of ways we can do it from the ground up. So that's starting from having lowered bikes available for shorter ladies, encouraging more CBT schools to have lowered bikes so that ladies can get their licenses, having more women in marketing, and obviously events like this, having attendance here shows that you're trying to get into the industry for women, and just catering for them more with different sizes, fits in clothing.
As we're halfway through your second year of the show, are we coming back and are we doing year 3 next year?
Absolutely. I just see this is growing. There's more women taking their licenses every single year, and I just think events like this are really needed for the industry.